In the initial scene we're acquainted with a notable legal counselor named Lauren Monroe. She gives off an impression of being doled out a case in which she's offered $1 million. Essentially to guard the crook anyway. Being a genuine individual, she obligingly declines, saying her soul will not permit her to do as such. Lauren is viewed as a legal counselor who's more worried about equity than with cash. Next we meet Lauren's more youthful sibling named William Monroe, a lawmaker trying to be the city chairman of New York City. Then again we are shown Lauren's father, Toxopholite Monroe, a well-off finance manager who's right now confronting trouble breathing. He some way or another makes do to get into his vehicle, yet returning home he dies. Lauren is at a press meeting when a journalist illuminates her of the unfortunate news, leaving her in tremendous shock. In the following scene Lauren, William, their mom Catherine, Lauren's spouse Scott, and their girl Claire are seen going to the memorial service later. Everything is wrapped up. The sibling sister pair has a talk where William makes reference to that their dad was glad for her. They likewise talk about moving their mother to an area nearer to them. Later Lauren goes to her dad's office. Also, reviews how he used to instruct her to play chess, relating it to the round of life. After 7 days, the Monroe family's lawyer Harold reports the late Toxopholite's will. As indicated by it, Catherine is presently the president of their organization. William is given with $20 million while Lauren is given just a single $1 million. The leftover $50 million are to be given to the police and clinical schools. In the wake of reporting this, Harold approaches Lauren secretly and hands her a bundle, saying it was passed on to her by her dad. After opening it, she finds a pen drive and a couple of keys. She embeds the pen crash into her PC just to track down a video of her father telling her that she should convey reality to her grave. He is sorry for not having the option to educate anybody at the point when he was alive. In the wake of watching the video, a shocked Lauren strolls into the forest where she finds a surface with a lock that shows up to be an entry. She utilizes the key from the past bundle to open it, just to find steps, prompting a cellar following. This, Lauren marshals the fortitude to walk down the dugout in spite of the murkiness. She opens an entryway. She finds a man bound. She valiantly keeps an eye on the man, yet he out of nowhere moves, making her escape in dread. Lauren gets back and chooses to call 911 for help. However, her sibling intercedes simultaneously. He communicates that he feels awful for her in regards to the cash circulation, so he needs to share his part anyway. Lauren rejects it, saying cash doesn't mean very much to her. Sometime thereafter, Scott moves toward her. What's more, inquires as to whether she's okay, which she affirms anyway. Lauren claims that she needs some alone time and sends him and Claire back. She then, at that point, takes a gander at a youth photograph of herself with her dad, which sets off a memory of a contention she had with him. Apparently Bowman had asked her to address their well-off companions in court. Be that as it may, she declined on the grounds that she doesn't shield lawbreakers. The next morning, she chooses to go back to the shelter, furnished with a firearm. This time she sees the man dozing, so she rapidly takes his fingerprints to find out who he is. During this time, the man opens his eyes, provoking her to take off. A brief time frame later, she returns wearing a veil and questions what his identity is. He seems to know everything about her, including her birthday, the name of her sibling, and even the way that she got hitched. Against her dad's desires, persuaded, she eliminates her cover and asks him once more about his personality. The man tells her that he feels like a relative subsequent to being held hostage For such a long time he inquires as to whether she's a decent individual, and when she affirms he tells her to deliver him, as that is what a decent individual does anyway. Lauren trusts that he effectively justified his control. Attempts to sort out what's happening, however. The man first requests succulent steak, potato Caesar salad, Goldwater, cigarettes and a 30-year-old container of scotch. He additionally adds that it would be ideal if he would shave Lauren. Takes steps to pass on him to spoil, however he's unaffected and answers that her still, small voice won't permit her to do as such. Realizing he has the advantage, she chooses to satisfy his needs and gives him a razor prior to leaving. At the point when Lauren returns home, she sends the fingerprints to her analyst companion, Emilio, requesting that he assemble the data quickly. Following this, she purchases everything the man requested and goes to the dugout. After such countless years, he at long last gets the flavorful food and starts to appreciate it with bittersweet tears satisfaction. She likewise gives him a chocolate bar, which makes him become close to home. The man illuminates her that her dad used to bring him chocolate one time each year and give him one square piece while leaving the lay on the rack to taunt him. Subsequent to fulfilling himself with the food, he presents himself as Morgan Warner. He then, at that point, begins uncovering his previous story. As indicated by him, he met Bowman 30 years back and they immediately became companions. Since they shared 3 indecencies: betting, inner self and ladies, they became business accomplices, and one night they had a couple drinks together prior to driving back on their way. Bowman crashed into a passerby and killed him on the spot. Morgan needed to call the police yet. That's what Toxopholite demanded, assuming there's no body, there's no wrongdoing. Subsequently, Toxopholite covered the body, and as Morgan was against it, Toxopholite went after him and detained him in the fortification. Toxopholite appeared to be terrified that Morgan would transform him into the police. What's more, Morgan uncovers that Bowman had an issue with a lady named Sophia, who was all that Catherine couldn't be, as a after effect of this. Bowman used to allude to her as his wanderer Rose. Lauren doesn't trust him, so he gives her Sophia's location, requesting that she check it herself. He moreover advises her to ask Harold in light of the fact that he has a record of everything. Lauren can't handle all of this. Be that as it may, she some way or another figures out how to try to avoid panicking. She then calls Emilio and asks that he keep an eye on a man named Morgan Warner. After this, she goes to the predefined address to meet Sophia. Lauren asks where she met her dad, to which Sophia answers in a poker game. During their discussion, she sees a kid's photo and asks about it, much to Lauren's unexpected. Sophia uncovers that he is Alex, her child and Lauren's stepbrother. Hearing this, Lauren can't deal with the truth, so she leaves crying. A short time later, she goes to Harold and spills out her rage on him for keeping such a big secret from the family. In response, the lawyer says that it's his responsibility to keep the information private. Lauren then inquires as to what else he's been keeping hidden, to which he responds that there is nothing else that can harm her. Furthermore, he admits that he'll still keep the rest of the information hidden, so he suggests that she forget it. Later, Lauren pays a visit to her mother, who's preparing for William's election campaign. She asks if she's heard of Morgan Warner, but it doesn't ring any bells. Shortly after, William walks in with his face tense. When asked, he says he's losing some polls, so he requests Lauren to come to the rally because she's well known for her honesty at work. The same night, Lauren returns to the bunker to uncover more information. She inquires about the location of the pedestrian's dead body that her father buried. Hearing this, Morgan proposes a deal that if he takes her there she will have to release him. Lauren reluctantly accepts and finally leads him outside. This makes Morgan very emotional as he's stepping out of the bunker after a long time. Just then Lauren receives a call from her husband Scott, who inquires as to where she's been. However, Lauren only apologizes and hangs up the phone, promising to make up with them soon. Following this, she begins driving in the direction given by Morgan. After a while they arrive at the location and he points out where the body's buried. Morgan sits back and smokes as she begins to dig. Lauren's fears are soon confirmed when she discovers a human skull, proving that Morgan was speaking the truth all along. Unable to think of anything else, she hides it back and returns Morgan to the bunker. She then asks him to put the collar back, but he begs her not to betray him. He claims that being an honest lawyer, she should not be as cruel as her father. Morgan then expresses his pain, saying he was unable to see her mother even at her funeral. He pleads with her to let him free because he wants to salvage what few years he has left. He also promises to vanish from their lives without causing them any harm. Unfortunately, even after the long explanation, Lauren apologizes to him and walks away with her eyes welling up. The next day she pays a visit to her brother's office and asks him for some advice, claiming that it's for one of her court cases. She asks what he would do if a guy knew all the secrets and was a danger to him. William responds by saying that he would either dump his body in the river or pay some goons to make him disappear from their lives. After some thought, Lauren goes to the bunker with a bag and makes Morgan promise that he will vanish forever. Says that he's been in this hell for longer than she's been alive and that once she releases him, he will never look back. As a result, Lauren agrees and asks him to clean himself, telling him that he'll be released tonight. Following this, she goes to Harold and asks him to arrange for $1 million and a jet to fly off someone who her father had wronged. Harold inquires about the reason, but she refuses to reveal it to him. In the next scene, Morgan is about to leave, but Lauren asks if her father has told him anything about her. He responds that Archer was proud of her, but he didn't like her going against his friends. At this point, Morgan reveals another secret about William, who bribed the union reps. Lauren is shocked and confronts William about it right away, but he believes that bribing is necessary to obtain a higher post. He also claims that their father even bribed people to get her appointed as a district attorney. Unable to stand it any longer, she slaps him and storms off, warning him not to lie to her again. Finally, Morgan leaves the bunker carrying a chess piece as a souvenir. The moment he steps outside, he breathes in the fresh air and feels liberated. Lauren then drives him to the private jet where Harold hands him his new ID cards and informs him of the funds in his account. Harold and Morgan then board the jet while Lauren returns to the bunker to clean it. During this, she discovers a poison under the bed, but she doesn't react, believing that everything is over. Meanwhile, Emilio locates Morgan's file and delivers it to Lauren's residence. The next scene, Catherine returns home and unwraps Lauren's package. Just then, Lauren walks in and asks why she's looking at her work instead of responding. Her mother asks fearfully why she has the picture of Carson. Lauren claims that his name is Morgan and honestly discloses that her father had been keeping him in the bunker for years. Hearing this, Catherine reveals that the man is a cold-hearted serial killer. She then asks about his whereabouts, but Lauren admits that she let him go. Following this, she rushes to the airport, only to find Harold and the pilot dead. She quickly realizes Morgan is after her Mother, so she dashes back home, but Catherine has already gone missing. A few moments later, she notices the bunker's door is open, so she goes in and finds her mother unconscious. While she checks on Catherine, Morgan appears from behind and turns off the light. He then attacks her, knocking her out. Before tying her up after she awakens, he admits to injecting her father with the poison that eventually killed him. He also reveals the actual truth about the past. Morgan tells her about the night when he gave Catherine a pill and forced himself on her. At the same time, Archer came there for his wife's aid and drove him to the bunker, but on the way Morgan distracted Archer and caused them to collide with a pedestrian. It's also revealed that Morgan was the one who buried the body, despite Archer's objections. When Morgan decided to blame Archer for everything, the latter knocked him down and dragged him to the bunker, where he was assaulted brutally. At present, Lauren attempts to persuade him, stating that she will assist him in obtaining justice for whatever her family did to him over the years. However, Morgan claims that he does not make deals. He wants them to rot there miserably, just like he did for 30 long years. He also shares his plan to go after the rest of their family members and destroy the family's legacy using all of the secrets he knows. At this point, Catherine awakens and tells Morgan that she should have ended his life herself, prompting him to slap her. Seeing this, Lauren takes a different attack and calls him a pathetic lunatic, which infuriates him. As a result, he assaults her and throws her against the walls. He then reveals himself to be her biological father, and this revelation knocks the wind out of her. At the same time, Catherine manages to grab the gun and shoot him in the back of the head. The film concludes with the mother and daughter dousing the bunker in gasoline, lighting it on fire and watching it burn.